Alrighty, so I've undone the bolts here that hold the rear sprocket on. You're going to need a breaker bar and a little bit of elbow grease to get your weight behind these things. It's much easier to do this on the bike, so if you are going to just do the sprocket set, you know, have the bike on the ground and you'll be able to get more leverage. Otherwise, I found if I put my knees down on the tire and the wheel and hold it down, and then with the nut in place with the socket on top, I was giving it a tap with a hammer just to break it, and then break a bar to turn it. So they are on pretty tightly. I'll check the torque settings before I put the new ones on. So here's the old sprocket. It's not too bad, but I figured if I'm going to upgrade, I may as well do this front and rear sprocket and new chain. The price of a new chain, an OEM Yamaha chain, is actually more expensive than buying a performance chain with a front and rear sprocket. So you can buy, this is the kit that I've actually decided to put on the bike. It's made by Vortex Performance. It comes with a front sprocket, rear sprocket, and a performance chain. Let's see here. Kit number is CK6317, whatever that means. So let's have a little look at what they're going to be giving me. So this is the new 15 tooth socket, and performance chain, plus let's pull this out, the new performance 50 tooth 520 rear. So this should make the acceleration a little more snappy. I have no idea what the acceleration is like stock, not having ridden this thing, so you know, hopefully it's just fine. Anyway, as far as comparison goes, new to old, if I lay this down on top, it is a bigger. Bolts line up perfectly, so if I put the new one on and the old one on top, gives you a size comparison, old versus new. So I'm going more teeth, dropping a tooth at the front, adding teeth at the rear. As far as the wear on the old one, if you hold this up and look at the tooth wear, it's actually very, very good. The old sprocket is in really good shape as far as the as you know, it's minimal wear, but I'd expect that for 16,000 miles on this bike, and I would imagine this is probably the original sprocket, so it's not too bad at all. Probably find a new home on eBay at some point. I'll sell it. So this one is a 45 tooth, so I'm going from 45 to 50, which is a very common upgrade for these kind of bikes. So next thing is clean this up before this goes on, and then reattach the new bolts. Alright, so that's the new Vortex rear 50 tooth sprocket on. Everything's torqued down correctly. I took the time to clean up the rim, the hub. So now it's time to put this back on the bike. So I'm going to get the old chain out of the way. Roll the tire into place. Alrighty, so now it's time for the front sprocket removal. This has got to be in the lock position, which means the bike has to be in gear. So if it spins like this, do not try to remove this nut. You're gonna have to put the selector back on, put it into first gear or second gear. Second gear is probably better for a little bit lower compression. It'll lock it a bit tighter, and then this will be locked in a rigid position. And then you're going to need a, looking at that, it looks like it's a 30, it might be a 32. So this is a 30 mil. Oh, first time lucky. So you're going to need a 30 mil large impact socket. This one's got a 1/2 inch head for my breaker bar, and with the sprocket locked, engine and gear, this should undo with a little bit of elbow grease. So we're going to do that now and loosen up this and take this off and replace it with the 15 tooth Vortex sprocket. So away we go. Alright, so I've thoroughly loosened this up. He says unable to move it. There we go. So that's the nut off. There's a retaining washer, and here's your sprocket. Doesn't matter which way it goes on. It's basically, it's doesn't really matter. So I'm going to pull that off. Jiggle it, jiggle, jiggle, jiggle. There we go. This could use a clean up, so I'm going to use some WD-40 around here in a rag, and then get my new sprocket. Let's compare the old to the new. This feels a lot lighter. This feels literally twice the weight, the original to the old. As far as teeth go, so yeah, it doesn't look too bad. The U and the rounding and the wear pattern on the old one, there is some wear to it, but it really is minimal. So all that tells me is that this is either relatively new front and rear, or the bike wasn't ridden that hard for the 16,000 miles that are on this engine, which I think is probably the case. From the description of the owner of the bike, it was not abused. So new sprocket about to go on. We're going to clean this up. We're going to pop this on. So I'll just put it in place, make sure the teeth line up. There you go. So that's what it's going to look like when it's on. I'm just going to clean all this area before it goes on. Anytime you've got any open space, get in there with a rag, clean it, WD-40 it, simple green, orange cleaner, engine degreaser, and then use a nice engine dressing solution. I like Armorall. Armorall does a nice job of keeping everything looking super clean. So that's next. Clean this, pop this on, washer and nut back on, and then we can feed the chain through. Alright, so the rest the front sprocket in. The only instructions that come with Vortex, it says that the Vortex logo needs to be facing outwards. So there you go, you can read Vortex. That's all you have to worry about doing. Just torque this down to the correct specifications, and that's my new front sprocket on and ready for the rear ones on. And we have a brand new chain, the racing chain 2.0 520 SX3 Tri-Glide, up to 750cc. This is a 600cc bike, so it should be fine. New train in from the back. So it comes with a master link that needs to be pressed into place, so I use my chain breaker and press kit for that, and get that one installed. So here we go. And it is black. So it comes with a new master link with O-rings. and it is pre-lubricated. So I'm going to get sticky fingers, but my hands are already dirty, so whatever. So all the way around, all the way around. So it comes absolutely at the right length. That looks a little long to me. I don't think my link's going to line up with that. So what I'm going to have to do is loosen the slack here on both sides, minimum, and push the tire closer, and then we'll adjust the slack and do an alignment once everything is in place. Alright, so I'm in the process of putting in my new chain, and the only way the chain's going to line up is if I move everything forward on the rear axle. It's just too far apart. So I've got to tighten up this chain in order to do that. So the way we do that is you're going to need a 32mm socket wrench there with your bar. So loosen that up as much as possible. You can leave it on, it just needs to be loose. Then you're going to need a 12mm socket to loosen up the head here. So that's going to be loosened up in this position. And then I think it's a 4mm Allen wrench, and that goes in on the end of the threaded screw here. So then you are able to move it. I don't know if you can see this, but you're going to have to do it on both sides. But as you turn clockwise, it's going to move it forward. Anti-clockwise, counterclockwise, it's going to come back to you. So an equal amount of turns. You do have lines on the side here that will line up with the back here. So you can take this line and then match it. So 1, 2, 3, it's on the third line right now. If you're going to go forward to the second line, just put the other one on the second line. And exactly the same on this side here. This is lined up on the third line, so we're going to push it all forward so that the chain lines up. So here's the master link. Open that up. You should have a bunch of O-rings. So yeah, you've got your master link that looks like that, with the link plate to go on the opposite side, and then a set of 4 O-rings to go on each side of the pins, with some lubricant, some chain grease. So you need to lubricate this area of the pins, stick the O-rings on, make sure they're well lubed, and then press it together. There's the master link, this is the lube. There's one of the new O-rings going on. Here's another one of the O-rings going on. There's 2 O-rings. And then here's our press plate. Okay. It says Japan on one side, nothing on the other. All the others have got the Japan facing outwards, so that's what we're going to do here. And we're going to put that over our master link. Now, in order to get this in place, I've got to use a chain press kit and push that into place and round off the ends here. So, simple chain press kit. This is what you use to press the ends of these pins and round them over so that they pinch and form a proper seal on this master link. There's lots of instructions and videos on YouTube on how to use this kit. I'm not going to go into great details on what to do. It's not hard. You just line it up and you're squeezing it together with equal pressure basically, and it's going to push the pins through, and then it's going to round off the heads. You're going to use these things called anvils, which have a rounded end on it, and that's basically what goes over the end of the pin and rounds it off on the top. So there we go. I will show you the finished thing when it's done. Alright, we're back. This is the chain installed with the master link installed here. You can see the rivets have been flared with the riveting tool. That's just a cheap $20 Amazon riveting tool. Worked great. I did use my digital calipers to measure the link and then make sure that it was oversized and flared after I pressed it through and then flared the ends here. So there's no way this is coming off without drilling these out, grinding them off or pushing them through. You can always pick up a new master link if you do ever need to take your chain off. But now that the chain is installed, new chain, new sprocket, everything's lubed. You can see I've got about 1 inch of slack here, which is perfect. Not too much. So I'm going to tighten up all the bolts and continue the process of getting the bike roadworthy. But so far so good. It's exciting. We've got new rubber, new sprocket, new chain, new front sprocket. Brakes have all been checked. We'll see how they do on the road once I actually drive the thing. But so far so good. So onwards. Thanks again for watching, everyone.